This is a hell of an opening line, man. Mark Baranowski has killed his wife's twin sister, and a shaved-headed guy whose only sin was general unpleasantness. You got quite a rap there, buddy.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Me?
You die all the time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess in some way I could look at it as, or wonder if he has some sort of subconscious.
Yeah. What would Freud say about that? Do you have problems with your mother, Mark?
I think that's it. I mean, it's got to be something subconscious because it's like I don't even think about it when I write it. It's just.
I always end up dead, or he kills me, or.
I've seen plenty of bloody picture of you.
Right. But that's what happens in these kind of movies too. I mean, you just either you do it or somebody else is gonna do it, and
Yeah.
I'm usually first in line for things like that.
So. You're here more though, right?
Right.
Yeah. He's killed himself twice.
Yeah.
Is that true? I thought it was just once.
This thing here says twice.
Well,
Okay, I did it in despair, but
yeah, I think
that might have been another
that was
mistake, like our date of birth.
Yeah, it also says you were both born in 64.
74.
You look pretty good for 41. I should probably direct that toward you. You look pretty good for 41.
Thank you.
Don't worry, you look good too, honey.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I think it was just once that I killed myself. But as far as your stuff, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like with the nudity factor or whatever, I mean, it's partly just me taking advantage of
The
course,
fact that I'm okay with it.
that you're right, that you're okay with it, that you're pretty much open. I mean, that's not saying that I'm just going to write anything, thinking that you're
Right.
going to just do anything that I come up with.
Because that's
but-
still your wife.
Right. And as much as people just can't get over the fact that I'd have her do anything of the sort, I don't know, I think our mentality is a little different. Mine is anyway. It doesn't bother me. And maybe because it's our own films. I mean, if it was somebody else's film, it might, but
Yeah.
to keep everything our own, it seems like it almost makes it okay,
Yeah. You have a line that you won't cross, though.
Right.
I figure.
Right. And if not because of the fact that she is my wife, I mean, I wouldn't. It's it's a line I wouldn't want to cross anyway. I mean, that's not the kind of film or kind of image that I'm trying to portray. Anyway,
Right.
So.
Because I'm sure you still get a rap as the porno guy for people, especially around here. I'm guessing that this isn't the best part of the country for
No,
this
not
type
at all.
of a thing.
Not at all, because and that's kind of the strange part is, I guess because I grew up watching this kind of film and everything, I don't think anything of, girls in the shower or, whatever the situation is. There's going to be nudity involved, but then some people take it, and if you have a shower scene or if you have any nudity whatsoever, they think it's an erotic film.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what, our goal is. We may have moments of that, and, there are some scenes that could be considered erotic, sure, but that's not what the main purpose of our films are.
Right. I'm sure a lot of people would ask why you couldn't do the same film without that.
Right.
Or why you have to be so revealing.
Sure.
We've all seen plenty of shower scenes that don't really have that much nudity in it.
Right.
Right. But me being a business guy, you got to give them what they want, right? I mean, you have to. We all know what sells, and a lot of women.
What sells, but then at the same time, it just depends on: do you want to be not necessarily the company, but do you want this to be the film that does give them everything, and just go ahead and blatantly, here's this, here's that, or you can also try to tease them.
Yeah, you gotta keep them coming back, right?
Exactly.
Okay. I've run into that at the strip club a couple times.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But and there's places for both of that though.
Right. Understandable.
But it just depends on your again what you're trying to get across. I mean, we did a panel with Mike Watt and Amy Lynn Best at a convention here in Charlotte last year, and it was a filmmaking panel, and they're doing something else. I mean, I feel that in independent films, no budget pictures especially, you have to have some, to some degree, nudity, or I think these films, too many, especially young filmmakers, they rely too much on the gore for gore's sake or nudity for nudity's sake, and just throw it in there for no reason, and use that as their only selling point when the movie itself sucks. There's no story, there's whatever, but I do feel that every movie of this sort has to have that, where they don't. And I think that's where we differed during the panel. I said, what film doesn't have, what film like ours, what independent film like ours doesn't have that to some extent, and they raise their hand. Well, theirs doesn't. That's fine, but
yeah, mine doesn't, and that's why it hasn't really sold yet.
But you don't know that for a fact, do you?
No, but I have heard from a couple of distributors, wow, there's no nudity. Your gore comes too late in the film. Because that's the thing, because in the beginning of the film, there's not as much gore. I mean, I definitely think we packed a good bit of gore into the third act.
Right.
But, it's the third act. There's no nudity. There's no stars in it. You can only rely on that story so far.
Right.
Because you have that audience that's probably going to buy your movie just to see certain things, unfortunately. And I'm sure as an artist, you don't want to hear that, but as a businessman yourself, you know that it's true. You know that it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the type of movie you're making, then yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what Mark's saying. You have to have that, in order to sell or in order to appeal or, whatever the case may be. But I would like to get to a point, at least myself personally, where that's not what I'm called to do.
Right.
And
I've heard the same thing from more women than I can count. That, there are so many, especially young filmmakers, seem like 18 to 22, that if you're nude in one movie, regardless of whether it was your husband shooting it or not, that's the only reason why they're going to call you. And I'm sure that's not really something that you want to have be your thing.
Yeah, not necessarily.
That's really not fair, because
it's
it's
not. And it kind of
not.
depends on what it is and how it relates to the plot. If it's just gratuitous, then yeah, I'd probably have to, kind of think about it before I'd accept that role. But if it's something that, okay, if you're taking a shower, you're gonna be nude. You're not wearing anything in a shower. Then yeah, that just kind of goes with the territory, or whatever the case may be, or if it plays into the storyline better. But yeah, I just don't necessarily want to be, Miss Nude.
Right.
And that's what everybody knows me for. I'd rather be able to bring something to the whole production with my acting, or with a certain look, whatever it is. And if I happen to be nude, that's fine. But I don't want that to be my main selling point.
Right. Bob Briggs seems to like you. What's it say here?
Does, yeah.
I've seen every B-movie queen, web model, starlet, and glamour model in the world. I'm not exaggerating. And Ryli Morgan is my favorite of all time. She has the sweetest... Alright, I can't finish that. You can cut it. Anyway, you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'd be using that quote everywhere if it was me.
It's on the website.
Is it?
So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so
you have your own website?
I do. RyliMorgan.com.
Okay.
Yep. That was kind of, I'm still pinching myself in a way over that one.
Yeah, I can
Because
imagine.
he was somebody that, I grew up watching, and just to be in position to have someone say that. Or, anybody for that matter, to actually know who the hell I am. And
he doesn't
think
say
something
anything
like
about
that
you
of
being
me.
naked.
Exactly.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, he appreciates, Southern women.
I do too. That's a good point. You got some good words from Bruce Campbell? I see here.
Yeah.
Gave you the inspiration to become a producer, that glamorous role of producer.
Yeah, and it's been it's going on 4 years now since we made our first film, and over 4 since he gave me that advice to just instead of looking at anybody else to buy one of my scripts or direct one of my scripts or whatever, just become a producer and director, and then start shooting them myself. Basically do like he did, and along with Sam, and the whole Evil Dead story and everything else. But at that time, I didn't want to hear about it. All I wanted to do at that point was just right. But even with a manager in Hollywood, I wasn't selling any of my work, and you know, you can only be patient, as she was telling me to be, you know, for so long when you're broke, basically. And
Yeah, I know what you mean.
you know, you look at most of these new movies coming out, independent movies, whatever, you know, from first-time directors, and it's generally the case that they also wrote them. So, I mean, the only way to get it done nowadays is to direct it yourself. So, just made sense. As much as I didn't want to do it back then, you know, I said, well, the only way we're going to get anywhere is to take that advice. And
Yeah.
ironically, I still haven't met Bruce personally, but, you know, the advice helped, and I'm still looking forward to that. But
Yeah, I've given some people that same advice, but I'm sure it doesn't mean as much coming from me as it does from Bruce Campbell. But that's the thing, you know. It just it's hard to depend on anybody. It's hard to even get your friends to come out and support you a lot of times, because
Right.
it's hard to get people to take you seriously, right?
right,
You know, just get your camera, get your wife, get whoever, buy a couple lights, and start shooting.
right.
You know,
exactly.
you don't need to go to film school. You didn't go to film school, right?
No,
No,
No.
I didn't go to film school.
no. I mean, that was another thing brought up in the panel that we did with Mike and Amy. I mean, I don't believe in the whole. You know, it's the same thing with acting classes. I mean, you can't teach somebody how to.
Yeah, I don't think you can learn how to direct.
Right.
I don't think you can learn how to act. You can maybe get pointers on how to sharpen certain things.
Right.
You know, but for the most part, you either have it or you don't, and you
Right.
need to just go and do it.
I mean, you go to school. Obviously, you're learning how to shoot like everybody else has already learned how to shoot. And,
Right.
You know, do your own things. You know, come up with your own style.
Yeah.
And you know, why do something the way? I mean, certain things, the composition of a shot, whatever. You know, fine.
Right.
But
Within reason. I would like to learn more about lighting.
kind
That's something I think I could learn from somebody. But as far as like the craft of directing,
Right.
or especially producing, you can't go anywhere to learn how to produce.
right.
Jeff my partner took a producing class, and most of their producing class was met in a bar, just talking about movies.
Mm-hmm.
You can't learn how to do that. You just have to go and do it.
Right. But, you know, I may differ from a lot of young or not so young filmmakers, new up and coming filmmakers. You know, I feel too that in independent films nowadays, I mean, I think personally, and it caused some ruckus in the panel too. You know, but I feel personally, film in our stage of filmmaking is overrated and unnecessary. It's a overexpensive and unnecessary thing to consider. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, with the ease and the quickness of digital filmmaking nowadays, there's no reason why anybody could, you know, get a digital camera and
Right.
make their own thing without having to reach for you know, overblown proportions with a film that they're going
Right.
to run out of money on halfway through production, and then it never gets done. You know, because they reach for the stars, but you know, then realize they can't make it, and what's the point?
Yeah, I'll be happy to never have to touch celluloid in my life.
Mhm.
I have no desire to work with film.
Yeah,
It's pointless.
yeah. I mean, there's limits to anything. I mean, you know, just as easy it is for anybody to pick up a digital camera, it's just as easy to make a piece of shit film too. I mean, you know, you're going to see a lot more
Yeah.
crap now that
And
everybody has access. But
yeah, I would tend to agree.
you know, I think it all comes down to a good script. As long as if you yourself, if you're not writing it, then get yourself a good writer. And as long as you've got a good script and good people involved, then really that's all you need, no matter what kind of resources, you know, are at your disposal. So I wish everybody the best to work with what they have and work within their means and just go for it. That's all I can say about that.
And that, as they say, is that.
That is that.
That is that.